I went through an experience this morning that I want to share with you. And it's an experience that you probably are familiar with, which is that of righteous anger, right? So you get into it's not an argument, maybe it's an argument, but you speak with somebody, something about the conversation or about the circumstance annoys you. Now you construct arguments in your head, which you either say to the other person or you just think to yourself that because of X, Y, Z reason, I am actually correct. I am justified in feeling the way I'm feeling, but typically that justification comes in the form of like frustration, anger, not being able to let go of that emotion. So I wrote a journal to myself that I hope is going to help you as well. This was directed to me. You are not righteous. Humble yourself. Even if you're right, are you at peace within you? No. You're angry and irritated, thinking about how right you are, thinking about your arguments and how valid they are, thinking about the scenario and playing out your righteousness in the theater of your imagination. Congratulations. Now you've ruined your own mood through the misuse of your mind. You've wasted your time and your energy, created momentum in a negative direction, and are now bringing that same mood and perspective to everything else. Do you feel good, productive, focused, lucid? No? Then what are you doing? You understand? So think about it that way, which is whatever you're right about, whatever you're thinking about, however correct you are, however much you want the other person to understand your viewpoint so you can be vindicated in your rightness. What's holding on to you, those emotions, are not helping you. The only way they're helping you is for you to recognize that they are not, right? It is only for you to recognize that the thoughts that you're having, they could be perfectly justifiable thoughts, perfectly logical reasons why you're correct. But if you have that layer of emotion stacked upon that, then what happens is you're clouding your entire perspective of the way you're living, not just of that situation, but of the way that you're living. You become more combative. You can't think as clearly, right? And like I mentioned, what are you doing here? You're ruining your mood, right? You're doing it to yourself. Because think about it like this. Is somebody else controlling you? The answer is no, because you've had moments where other people are, being annoying. You have those days where just nothing bothers you. Like just you can't be bothered by anything. No matter how sideways things go, you haven't been bothered. You just we've all had at least one of those days, probably multiple of those days. And we've had days where really nothing is wrong, but we're just irritated by everything. Like every little thing bothers us. So what's the same in both of those scenarios? Well, the same as you. And what's different is the way that you're thinking, right? The mood, the state that you're bringing to the circumstance. Because if everything is going wrong and nothing is bothering you, or if everything is going right and you're always irritated and you're being irritated by those things, just you're having days or moments like that. Doesn't mean like you're living like that every day. Well, what that means is that this here, right? This is what's really leading the dance of your life in a sense. So you're ruining your own mood through the misuse of your mind. You're wasting your time and your energy. So if you notice, oftentimes after these types of, if you want to call them episodes, you're more tired, you're more drained. And because you're more tired and you're more drained, you're more likely to be irritated. So it's a feedback loop that feeds onto itself as well. So you're more likely to be irritated because now you're more tired. And you've created that negative momentum. You've created that momentum in a negative direction. So you're creating the momentum in a negative direction. You're wasting your time and your energy that you could be using for something else. And by the time your energy depleted or close, you're irritated because you're basically running on fumes, right? And now you're bringing that same mood and perspective to everything else, very likely. So this is just like a reminder, right? Because what happens is when you're aware of that occurrence and you're able to elucidate very clearly something like this, what I just wrote, it makes it easier for you to move on. Because what the darkness doesn't want is to be illuminated. The darkness wants to stay dark. Think about it like that, right? Otherwise, it would not exist. So when you shine the light on the darkness, even if you don't understand what you're seeing, you're still shining the light on that darkness. So as long as you become aware of what's happening, but aware of not like, yes, I'm angry, I know I'm angry, and I'm just angry because of this person. That's not awareness. I'm talking about this level of awareness where you're taking a couple of steps back and you're taking your time to process what it is that you're feeling, and you're taking responsibility for those feelings, but not in a way that is condemning you to repeat the same errors in the future. So if you notice that what I'm doing here, I wasn't judging myself, I was pointing out the obvious. And so the best thing that you can do is really bring everything, like create like a whole picture. And if you notice, there's nothing in what I wrote that has anything to do with the other person. It had nothing to do with the scenario, nothing. It had to do with what was going on internally. So once you're able to verbalize that experience, but like on multiple levels, then it makes it a lot easier to, clear out the noise and to be able to proceed about your day in a way that's more centered, is more peaceful. Because you're not at peace when you're righteous. You're just not. And what's also helpful is sometimes not always speaking to somebody, because sometimes you don't need or want other people's opinions about what you're going through. You just need to be able to process it by yourself. But also, it's important to know that as you're processing it, don't expect it to just vanish, right? This is another really, really key point, is that don't have the expectation that once you have this level of understanding, or even perhaps for you a deeper level of understanding, don't expect it to just vanish. You may have like a moment of clarity, which is fantastic, but try to save yourself from the pain of having the expectation that your life is going to immediately get better in that moment, and you're not going to experience that again, because you're going to be disappointed. Right? So just kind of just ride it out, right? Let it kind of like ride out. And as long as you're not like taking it out on other people or on yourself, that's okay, right? Allow yourself the freedom to like think of what you want to think and feel, what you need to feel, but just don't project it onto other people, on the world, and onto yourself. So as long as you have those things in place, then basically you're not you're not taking the little toxic bottle and you're pouring it onto yourself or spraying it onto other people, right? So you're an alchemist, right? You're allowing it to transform. And the way to do that is through understanding, through time, and through the understanding of the situation, what you're going through, but also the understanding of, like I mentioned yesterday, all human emotions, they come and they go. It's a normal part of life. And the more you bring awareness to those emotions, the more easily you can just recognize them and understand that sometimes you just need to ride them out. And you could still live your life in such a way where you are centered, because you are human. Don't think that you just want to eradicate things that are negative, because that's not realistic. So I hope that was helpful. I'm going to keep this one nice and short. And I can see the sun coming through. It's really messing up my camera. So hopefully it didn't mess up the whole video. But yeah, I'll leave you with that. It's happy hump day. It's Wednesday, and it's about 6:57 p.m. And I will upload this right now. So hopefully you get some use out of it, and I will see you tomorrow.